He ran from God and ended up inside a fish. Jonah was told to preach to Nineveh, but he refused. Instead, he boarded a ship going the opposite direction. Then came the storm. The sailors, terrified, threw Jonah overboard, and the sea went still. But Jonah didn't drown. He was swallowed by a massive fish. For 3 days and nights he sat in darkness, alive, praying, repenting. Then in a miracle the fish spat him out onto dry land, bruised, humbled, but alive. Jonah learned you can't outrun God, but you can find grace in the belly of rock bottom. In the year 40 AEC, during the days when Judea was under Roman rule, a certain traveler was making his way from Jerusalem to Jericho, a road known for its steep descent and danger from bandits. Along the dusty path, the man was ambushed, stripped of his belongings, and left bleeding and half dead in the scorching sun. A priest passed by but turned his gaze away. Soon after, a Levite, a man of religious duty, also saw the wounded traveler and walked on. But then came a Samaritan, a foreigner despised by many in Judea. Seeing the man's suffering, he was moved with compassion. He tended the wounds with oil and wine, lifted him onto his own donkey and brought him to an inn, paying the innkeeper to care for him. "Whatever more you spend," he said, "I will repay when I return." In an age where divisions ran deep, this Samaritan showed mercy greater than any law, a lesson that echoed louder than swords. He was just a teenager when his own brothers betrayed him, selling him into slavery. In Egypt, Joseph served faithfully, only to be falsely accused and thrown into prison. Years passed, forgotten, alone, but God hadn't abandoned him. One night, Pharaoh had a dream no one could explain, except Joseph. In a moment, everything changed. He was brought from the prison to the palace, from a prisoner to second in command over all Egypt. Joseph's story reminds us, even when life seems unfair, God is working behind the scenes, turning pain into purpose and setbacks into setups for something greater. He was thrown to the lions for praying. Daniel was a man of unshakable faith. Every day he prayed to God, even when a new law made it illegal. Jealous leaders had tricked the king into signing it just to trap Daniel. But Daniel didn't stop. So they threw him into a pit of hungry lions. That night, something incredible happened. God sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths. In the morning, the king rushed to the den and cried out, "Daniel, has your God saved you?" And from the darkness came a voice, "I'm alive. My God protected me." When you stand for God, He'll stand with you, even in the lion's den. Jesus knew He was about to raise Lazarus from the dead. He knew the miracle was moments away. But still, He wept. Not because He lacked faith, not because He doubted the outcome, but because He felt the pain around Him. That's the heart of Jesus, fully God, yet fully present in our sorrow. He doesn't rush past your grief with a quick fix. He sits with you in it, cries with you, feels it with you, and then He brings life where death had the final word. Jesus wept not because He couldn't change things, but because love doesn't skip the pain. So when you're broken and hurting, remember, the one who holds resurrection power also has tears in His eyes for you. Balaam was on a mission, riding his donkey with pride, ready to curse God's people for a paycheck. But God had other plans. An angel blocked the path, sword drawn, invisible to Balaam, but not to the donkey. 3 times the donkey tried to save his master. 3 times Balaam beat her. And then, the donkey spoke. Yes, spoke. "Why are you hitting me?" she asked. Suddenly, Balaam saw the angel too. In that moment, a stubborn prophet was humbled by the voice of a simple beast. Sometimes we're so focused on our own way, we ignore the signs God is putting right in front of us, even if He has to speak through a donkey to get our attention. She had suffered for 12 years, bleeding, broken, and cast out by everyone. Doctors had failed her. Money was gone. Hope fading. But then she heard about Jesus. She didn't ask for a miracle. She didn't cry out. She just reached, through the crowd, through the pain, and touched the edge of his robe. That was it. Instantly, the bleeding stopped. Power had gone out from him, and he turned, asking, "Who touched me?" Trembling, she stepped forward, and Jesus said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well." In one touch, she went from outcast to healed. The wine had run out, and the celebration was about to turn into embarrassment. But Mary looked at Jesus and simply said, "They have no more wine." Quietly, behind the scenes, Jesus told the servants to fill jars with water. Then he turned it into the finest wine anyone had ever tasted, his very first miracle. He didn't do it with fireworks or drama, but with quiet power and compassion. This wasn't just about wine. It was a sign that Jesus brings joy where there is emptiness and abundance where there's lack. When Jesus shows up, even the ordinary becomes miraculous. In a valley filled with fear, one young shepherd boy stood tall, not with armor but with faith. While seasoned warriors trembled at the sight of Goliath, David stepped forward with nothing but a sling, 5 smooth stones, and unshakable trust in God. He didn't see a giant too big to fight. He saw a God too powerful to fail. With a single stone and a heart full of courage, David brought down the giant, proving that faith, not fear, wins the battle. No matter how big your giants are, when you stand in faith, you never stand alone. They saw him as the Lamb, gentle and silent before his accusers. But in the book of Revelation, he returns not as a servant, but as a warrior king. Eyes like fire, a sword from his mouth, riding a white horse with heaven's armies behind him. No longer bearing a cross, he carries a name no one knows but himself, written in blood. The world will tremble as the King of Kings comes to make war against evil once and for all. This isn't Sunday school Jesus. This is the Lion of Judah, and he's not coming to take sides, he's coming to take over.
Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and dragged to Egypt. But what looked like the end was just the beginning. In a foreign land, falsely accused and thrown into prison, Joseph never lost his faith. He interpreted dreams behind bars, and that gift opened the door to Pharaoh's palace. In one day, he went from prisoner to prime minister. Years later, Joseph stood face to face with the very brothers who betrayed him and forgave them. What they meant for evil, God used for good. Joseph's story reminds us, even when life buries you, purpose can still rise.
Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. His sisters, Mary and Martha, were grieving when Jesus arrived in Bethany. They believed he had come too late. But Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life." He walked to the tomb, deeply moved, and commanded, "Roll the stone away." Then he looked up and prayed. With a loud voice, he cried, "Lazarus, come out." And to everyone's astonishment, Lazarus walked out, alive, still wrapped in grave clothes. In that moment, death was defeated, and God's glory was revealed through the power of Jesus. Jericho was a fortress, thick walls, locked gates, warriors on alert. Israel had no battering rams, no siege weapons, just a strange command from God. Walk around the walls, once a day, for 6 days. And on the 7th, march 7 times, blow the trumpets and shout. That's it. No swords. No fighting, just obedience and faith. And when they shouted, the ground shook, and the mighty walls crumbled to dust. Jericho fell without a single sword swung. God was showing something bigger. The battle belongs to him. And when he moves, even walls meant to keep you out can't stand. As Jesus was leaving Jericho, a blind beggar named Bartimaeus sat by the roadside. When he heard that Jesus was passing by, he cried out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." The crowd tried to silence him, but he shouted even louder. Jesus stopped. He called Bartimaeus forward and asked, "What do you want me to do for you?" Bartimaeus answered, "Lord, I want to see." And Jesus said, "Go, your faith has healed you." Immediately he received his sight, and followed Jesus down the road. Faith opened his eyes. Mercy changed his life. Faith opened his eyes. Mercy changed his life.